Agscape acknowledges that we were founded on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, the Adirondack, the Mississauga, and Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We are now a fully remote team with many representatives working across the land now called Ontario, and we acknowledge that there are 46 treaties and other agreements that cover the territory. We are thankful to be able to work and live in these territories. We are thankful to the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people who have cared for these territories since time immemorial and who continue to contribute to the strength of Ontario and to all communities across the province. To continue to center reconciliation, we encourage our team, partners, students, and teachers to take time to learn about the lands they are currently on. Visit native-land.ca for more information.
Awesome. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our tour of the Ontario Dairy Research Centre. My name is Madison, and I'm the events assistant at Agscape. And with me here today is Rebecca Dunn, who is the Knowledge Mobilization Manager at the facility we will be touring today. So we're going to be able to go behind the scenes. We're going to meet some of the cows, and we're going to learn all about the research that is done at this center. So if anyone has any questions throughout the field trip, please send them in. Rebecca wants to hear all your good questions, and she wants to hear from all of you. All right. So Rebecca, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit more and start showing us around?
Absolutely. So thank you, Madison. My name is Rebecca, and I'm the Knowledge Mobilization Manager at the University of Guelph in the Office of Research, Agri-Food Partnership. So welcome to the Ontario Dairy Research Centre. This facility was completed in 2015. I'm going to show you lots of cows today. I'm going to talk to you about some of the research that we do here. I will do as much as I can in the time that I have. Our facility is about 175,000 square feet, so I'm going to walk really fast and show you as much as I can. So this facility is owned by the Agricultural Research Institute of Ontario, but is managed by the University of Guelph. So there's about 14 research stations across Ontario that are set up like that, so owned by ARIO, but managed by the University of Guelph. And here at this Dairy Research Centre, it was a partnership between ARIO, the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, the University of Guelph, as well as the Ontario dairy industry represented by the Dairy Farmers of Ontario. So where I'm standing now, this is the lactating cow housing. So we have all of the cows that are currently being milked. This is where most of them live. So I'm just going to turn my camera around so you guys can see. So here you can see some of our cows. So they're all in free stall pens here. So that means that they can walk freely throughout their pens. And so we have 8 pens in this area that we can put about 30 cows in. So that's about 240 cows in this area. And this is another piece of equipment that we're going to talk about. So these are the Incentec feed bins. So these feed bins measure feed intake. So you'll see that up here we have a number in red, which is the amount of feed in kilograms in each bin. And they're on scales. So when she sticks her head inside the bin, the gray panel above her head is going to read her RFID tag, and the bin is going to allow her to eat out of it. So there's a black gate that will lower so that she can stick her head in and eat. So when she steps back, that gate will come back up. So every time this cow eats, or every cow in this area eats, we know from her number, from her RFID tag, we know exactly how much she ate every time she visits the bin. So that's a really important piece of research equipment. So we can we know exactly how much each cow is eating. And another thing that will allow us to do is we can assign cows to specific bins. So we can take our cows and say, okay, number 5231, this is your bin, and we're going to make sure that we have a specific diet for you to eat. So we can split the cows into different groups, so we can have 3 different groups in one pen eating different diets. So what do our cows eat? Our cows eat a TMR, which is a total mixed ration, which is a mix of different things like silage, high moisture corn, straw, and this is what it looks like. So the lactating cows eat something a little bit different than the dry cows who are on a little bit of a break before they have their next calf. So we have different diets for different stages of life for the cows. So it might have a little bit more energy in it or a little bit less. Also in this section is our robot, our milking robot. So I'm going to take you guys into the room. So we have different milking systems here. We have a voluntary milking system, we have a rotary parlour, and then we also have in-place systems. Oh, we have another question here. What is the daily production of milk? So an average would be 35 kilograms or liters of milk per day per cow, all the way up to 40. So it ranges from 35 to 40. So this is what our robot looks like. Let me turn the camera around for you. So there's not a cow in here right now. It looks like it's cleaning. But when the cows walk in, this robotic arm, will go under the cow and will attach the milking equipment to her teats so that she can be milked. And then while she's in here, we can see on this screen how much milk is coming from each of her quarters, what the total yield is, and then we can also see how often she has come, how many times she visited. So in the robot, you can have about 30 cows assigned to this robot to be milked. So they can walk into the robot whenever they want. They won't always be milked, but that's how they're milked. So they're going to walk into the robot, and then the machine is going to recognize who she is by her collar, the RFID tag in there, and it's going to say, okay, yes, it's time for you to be milked, or okay, no, it's not time for you to be milked. And then all of that's going to happen automatically, and she's going to be fed some treats while she's being milked. So they like going in there. That's an incentive for them to go into the robot, and then everything's done automatically. The second type of milking system that you'll see is a rotary parlour. So this is what our rotary parlour looks like. It's a 24 bale rotary. That means we could have 24 cows in there at one time. So the cows are going to walk on, and they're going to stand with their heads facing out towards us. And then this black platform is going to slowly rotate. So when they're on the platform, somebody is going to be in the middle milking them, and they're going to make sure they clean off their teats and attach the milking equipment, and then they're going to go for a little, almost like a really, really slow merry-go-round ride. So that takes about 7 or 8 minutes. And then they're going to step off, and then we can sort them with a gate to go back to their pen, or they can go in another direction if we want them to go to a different area so we can check them out or collect some samples. And then when they walk off the rotary parlour, there's also a scale that they're walking over. So that's going to measure their weight every day, and they're milked here twice a day. So once in the morning at around 4:30 in the morning, and once in the afternoon around 4:30 in the afternoon. So they're milked twice a day by this rotary parlour, and when they're on the robot, an average would be about 4 times a day. We have another question. What is the process to drink the milk? So our facility runs like a commercial farm in the way that we ship our milk. So the milk truck comes to pick up the milk every other day, and then it goes into a processing facility in Guelph so that it can be pasteurized and all those procedures that they take so that it can be taken to the store so you can drink it. So that was our rotary parlour. So twice a day they get milked there. And now we're walking into our special needs barn. So we have maternity pens here, and we have calf nurseries here. So I'm going to switch my camera around for you. So we have 18 maternity pens. They look like this. It's just a bit of a bigger pen. So we have extra space so cows can come. If they're going to have their calf soon, we'll have them in one of these box stalls. They can lay down. They have a quiet space to have their calf. And they can be milked here in place. So we have 2 in-place milking systems, one of them here and then one of them in a different area of the barn. And then this is a good area to see also the curtains. So we have natural ventilation in the barn. So these curtains will go up and down depending on the temperature in the barn. So behind these screens here. So we have probes that hang down from the ceiling, like this one up here. And those measure temperature inside the barn and outside the barn, and they can measure other environmental parameters. So the curtains will go up and down depending on the temperature. And then we also have fans. So we have some good air circulation for the cows. Okay, let's go to the nurseries. So we have 4 calf nurseries, everybody's favorite part of the tour. Let's see. Okay, so we have some nurseries here, and Ashley's in here feeding the calves. So when calves are born, they come into an individual pen here. So number 5266 or 5556, she was born 2 days ago. So they'll go into an individual pen. Hello. And the staff will bottle feed them. So this is what it looks like. Bottle feed them the colostrum. And then once they're old enough, they're going to learn how to drink out of the automated milk feeder. So each room has an automated milk feeder and an automated pellet feeder. So this is what the automated milk feeder looks like. They'll come in and they will drink from there. Hello, these 2 are twins actually. So let me just turn my camera around again. So the calves are drinking the colostrum hopefully from their mother for about 3 or so days. And then once they're strong enough to learn how to drink from the automated milk feeder, then they can start drinking from there. So the amount that they drink can be recorded. So their RFID tag will be scanned when they walk in. And then when they start drinking, we know exactly how fast they're drinking and how much they're drinking. So we'll go into another nursery room here. This one's a little more full. We got some bigger calves, some older calves. So all their birthdays are on the blackboard here, so we know exactly what day they were born. Oops. So when they're a little bit older, they start eating out of the pellet feeder. So we have an automated pellet feeder here, some pellets inside it. So we have the milk feeder, and then we have the pellet feeder, and then we also have some chopped straw in the red buckets around the outside. So once they're about 6 weeks old, we're going to start ramping down the amount of milk that they're drinking. So this is what it looks like. This is called milk replacer, and it's a powder that mixes with warm water. So when they start drinking from the milk feeder, like maybe she'll show us, that's what they're going to be drinking. So at about 8 weeks, they'll be cut off from that milk source, and they'll be eating the pellets and the straw that's in the bins on the outside of the pen. And that's what they'll be eating when they move to the heifer barn at the other end. So when they're about 10 weeks old, they would have been cut off from their milk source. They would be eating the pellets and the straw, and then they're going to move to the heifer barn. So they would have also been vaccinated before they left. So in this room, all these calves will grow up together. And then when it's time, when they're old enough, they'll move to the heifer barn, which is all the way at the other end of the barn, where they can continue to grow up. So we fill these rooms one at a time until there's about 12 to 15 calves in each room. And then they all stay in there together. And then once everybody's moved out, then we're going to empty the entire room, and we're going to sanitize it, and we're going to clean it, and we're going to leave it dry for a few days before we start filling it again. So there isn't a specific breeding period here. So we have calves born all year round. So the ventilation systems in our nurseries are pretty sophisticated. The air is actually coming from outside or from the attic, depending on the temperature, and it's forced into each nursery separately. So each nursery is a separate environment. And this is what the room looks like when it's completely empty and it's just drying out to make sure there's no cross-contamination. So those are our calf nurseries. Let me know if you have any questions about that. Can a cow give milk when they're pregnant? So a cow needs to have a calf to be able to give milk. So we usually breed them around 13 months of age, and then they're going to have their first calf about 9 months later. So once they have that calf, then they start producing milk. But we want a cow to have a calf about once every year, once every 12 to 13 months. So that means that she'll need to be bred again. So usually they have a 2-month dry period before they have their calf, and then they start being milked again after the next calf. Hopefully that makes sense. So we're just walking by our maternity pens again. Ladies are having a rest. And then on the other side of the maternity pens, we have the dry cow area. So like I said, cows will have a 2-month dry period before they have their first calf or their next calf, and then they go back to the lactating cow housing. So on the dry cow side, it looks a lot like the lactating cow housing, but it's just a little bit smaller. So there's less animals on this side. So these are the dry cows. And for anyone that doesn't know, a heifer is a cow that has not had a baby yet, and a cow has had a baby before. So this is a good place to show you, if you can see up top there. It's a little easier when I turn my camera around. So up here, we have a situation where we have a cow that's assigned to a bin. Oh, here, see it better here. So we have a cow that's assigned to a bin. So this bin on this side, this one, this is 5275's bin. And this is 5287's bin. So that means that only that cow can eat out of that bin. So this gate will only lower if that cow comes over and her RFID tag is scanned. And the number underneath, the purple number, is the amount in kilograms that they want them to fill the bins with. And then you'll see here, there's a blue leg band. That means please fill this bin with the blue diet. So often when we're doing research, we're researching things like nutrition or health or welfare, behavior. So if we're doing something that's related to nutrition, then we're going to have different diets for a research child. So the pink diet might have something different in it than the blue diet. For example, there might be a specific vitamin or mineral in this bin that the blue diet doesn't. So then you can use the same number, the same group of cows, but split them with different diets. So that's one example of research that we do here. Some more cows that want to say hi. How much does it cost to take care of a cow? That is a good question. Well, there are lots of things involved. So number one cost is feeding. So feed costs a lot of money. The other thing is you have to have a facility. So our facility is pretty unique. We have lots of different milking systems. It's very large, so that's not common to a regular facility. But because we're a research facility, we have lots of different things. So you have to pay for the feed, you have to pay for veterinary bills, you have to take care of their feet. You have to pay your building costs like hydro and things like that. So it really depends on what type of facility you have and how many cows you have, on how much your costs are going to be. So this is a fun spot to look at in the barn. So this is the other side of the lactating cow housing, but all the cows are eating from the ground. So you can see them poking all their heads out. So this is just the other side of the lactating barn where there's no feed bins. So you can see them sticking their heads out. And then this is what we call a handling area. So this is the other side of the rotary parlour. So once they come off the rotary parlour, there's lots of pens so we can sort them in different directions. And if you have any other questions about that, let me know. If you want me to repeat anything. We're just going to walk this way. How many teeth do cows have? I don't know. That is a good question. That is one that I should look up. Do you girls have teeth? How many teeth do you have? Should we go look in one of their mouths and see? You guys have some tough questions. How many cows do we have at the facility? So total animals, so counting the dry cows and the milking cows and the calves, we would have about 500. Let's go see if we can look inside one of their mouths. So we're coming back to our lactating cow housing. Oh, and they're all hiding now. We have some researchers here, some grad students working on a research project. So they're working on a research project that's looking at cow behavior and personality traits related to robotic milking. Let's see if she'll show us inside her mouth. Can you show us? She's shy. She's too shy. What about you? No, she's too shy too. Nobody wants you to see inside their mouth. Let's go to the feed room. My favorite part, what's my favorite part about working here? My favorite part is I get to see really cute cows all the time. And I also like meeting lots of new people. So I give a lot of tours and I get to meet a lot of interesting people from all over the world. So here's the feed room. So we've got all types of equipment in here. So we actually have a precision feed facility across the road down at our beef research center. So we don't store any feed on site here. We grow a lot of our forages, so hay and stuff like that in the area. And we buy all of our concentrates like pellets. So all of the feed will be mixed over at Precision Feed Facility, and then the staff here will go and pick up what they need. And they can use these orange mixers to put feed in there if we want to add anything else into the feed mixture. So if we want to add like a supplement or a probiotic or something like that, they can put the feed in there and mix it up and then use one of these feed carts to deliver it to the cows. So all this is feed delivery equipment and mixers. And we'll keep going to our tie stall area. So you saw our free stall area in the bigger part of the barn. And we have a tie stall area. It's a little bit louder in here with the fans. Hopefully you can hear me. So this is a tie stall area. So this is called the Special Projects Wing, and this is where any of our more intensive projects would take place. So this is where tie stall means that they're tied. So they're tied in one spot in the barn. So they're going to stay in the same spot for about a week or so, depending on how long the trial is. And you'll see that there's lots of stalls here, so we have space for 24 cows in here, but there's a space in between each cow so that researchers can have 360-degree access to the animal. And that way they can pull equipment up beside them, or they can put equipment on them and not worry about one cow chewing it off the other cow. In this area, this is kind of a separate environment from the rest of the barn, so it's kind of like a submarine in a ship. So it's kind of a separate environment. We could seal it off and we could measure environmental parameters just in this area. And one of the research projects that takes place in here it's called the Resilient Dairy Genome Project. So you guys could look that up. You could Google it. There's a really nice website about that project, the Resilient Dairy Genome Project. So they're trying to select for cows through genetics and genomics that have higher feed efficiency and lower methane emissions. So methane emissions are a concern for the environment. So when the cows are in here, when we're collecting data on those cows from part of this trial, we use this green feed system. And so we bring that over to the cows and they're going to stick their heads in here and it's going to drop some pellets. And while it drops pellets, that's their incentive to keep their head inside, so we don't force their head in. They just stick their head in and they eat the pellets, and the machine's going to measure the methane that's coming out of her mouth. So the machine can measure things like methane emissions, oxygen. So any cows that are on that trial, they'd be in this area for about a week, and they would use that green feed system 3 times a day on each cow, and then they would switch them out and get some different cows. So that's an example of another type of trial. This is a lab space. So this is lab space for grad students and researchers. So if they're collecting samples, they don't have to take the samples all the way back to campus. They can bring them in there and they can use the drying ovens and the scales and measure anything that they need to measure. And the last place we want to take you to is where we collect our milk. So when all these cows are being milked, the milk is collected to a bulk tank. And we're going to turn the light on. And this is what it looks like. So that's a 32,000 liter tank. So that won't get full. The milk truck comes every other day, so every 2 days. And we'll empty that and take it to Guelph. So it does need to be able to hold 3 days worth of milk in case the milk truck can't come for whatever reason. And for anyone that doesn't know, milk needs to be tested before it can enter the food cycle, the food chain. So we have to make sure that there's nothing like antibiotics and it's the right temperature and there's nothing in it that shouldn't be in it before humans can consume the milk. And this tank is built on a 4-foot platform, which is pretty unique. So Dairy Farmers of Ontario wanted to see if having it raised up on a platform would make the milk flow more by way of gravity onto the truck as opposed to sucking it on or pumping it on, which would disturb the fat globules less, which could lead to better shelf life and better milk quality. So that was the reason behind building that. We haven't measured those results yet, but that was the idea behind the raised tank. So that's most of everything that I wanted to show you guys. Does anybody have any other questions before we say goodbye? What do they do with the bulls that are born? So bulls are calves that are boys. So those will be sold. They will go into the veal industry. So we don't keep the bulls. Why is it important to do research? So the whole idea behind this facility is so that we can research best management practices and ways that we can help our dairy industry. So what can we learn on our farm that's going to make our agri-food sector better? What can we teach farmers to make their operations more successful? How can we learn more about animal welfare to keep our animals happier and more productive and safe? So that's a few reasons why we do research.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Rebecca, for showing us all around. We saw a lot of your facility, and it looks like you're doing some really awesome work there. I just have one more question, if that's okay, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So here it is.
What type of schooling do you need to get a job at the research center? So there's lots of different types of jobs here. So if you're interested in doing something like research, like if you'd like to be a graduate student or if you'd like to be a researcher, you do have to do an undergraduate degree and then decide what kind of research you'd like to look at. So if you decide you want to do some of the students that were there standing by the robot, they are students under Dr. Trevor DeVries. So you have to have an advisor or a researcher that is in the dairy side of research, and then you could do some research here. Or if you'd like to be an agricultural assistant, dairy experience on a farm is an asset, but you can also be trained. So I don't think you need any specific education to be an agricultural assistant. And then to be a manager or a foreperson, I do believe you need sort of after high school education. I'm not sure exactly which, but and then for me, I did my undergraduate degree at the University of Guelph in animal science, and that's how I got into this job.
Oh, awesome. So you went to school for animal science. That's so cool.
I did, yes.
And now you do it every day and you get to walk around and look at all the research. That's awesome. Amazing. Well, I just want to say a big thank you for showing us around your facility, teaching us all about the research center and the different projects that you're doing. I hope everyone that was watching learned a lot. We had a lot of great questions, so I really appreciate the students that sent in their questions as well. Is there anything you want to say before we all head off?
Thank you guys for coming with me on the tour. And if you have any questions, I'm sure Madison will share my email. And you can let me know if I didn't answer your question or if you want to learn anything else.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Everyone watching, don't forget to check out Eggscape's other events on our website for Local Food Week. That's coming up. Thanks so much for tuning in and have a great rest of your day. Bye.